What's going on? I'm back again with another build in public, and today I'm going to be going over how to sell an automated product. Now, this is something that I'm working on, have been working on for the last couple of months, is actually creating a product that can be sold and not just doing like specific project-based work. So actually having something that you can go to market with and, take to the masses and ask a bunch of people essentially if they would like your product. My video is a bit glitchy today. Apologize in advance, but it doesn't matter. Just listen if this is bugging out and you'll still be able to get the gist of it. So this is, I don't know if you can see this, how to sell an automated product. I've got 3 steps: problem, TAM, and get it in front of eyes. So this is the front end side of it, and like how to come up with a product, and also then how to get it in front of people. It's not the actual fulfillment of it. So if you're looking for fulfillment, then this isn't the best thing for you right now. Sorry. But having a problem. So this is something that is a lot of people get stuck on. So people will stumble across automation and they'll see the capacity that it has and think, oh man, like I can build all of these things. I can build a content repurposing machine. I can create a cold email system, whatever it might be. But if you don't fix a problem with that automation, it's going to be useless, right? And no one's going to buy anything from you. It's kind of like having all the tools, but no blueprint in order to build a house, right? Or no materials to build a house. So let's start with the problem. Now, I'm going to build a productized solution in this video. So, I mean, you could steal it. I'm probably going to do it as well. But I just needed to do this anyway, so I'm going to build it here. So for my problem, I'm going to go with a photographer, right? So what could be an automated solution for a photographer? Now, I've been brainstorming this, and obviously I need to validate this with photographers. So take this with a grain of salt. But as I'm getting married soon, I've been speaking to our photographer, and I've kind of poked and prodded at a little bit of his issues, which one of them is actually the deliverables of the wedding, right? So with this, I'm going to look at what onboarding for a project looks like, and then actually having an automation run the deliverables. So I'm just going to be talking about it theoretically. It's not going to be actually me building it. So again, I'm sorry, but this isn't about builds. It's about the theory behind it. So the problem currently is that when this photographer takes on a job, he is super excited about doing the actual photo taking and the editing. Like, that's the parts that he loves. However, the business administration side of things is where he kind of gets tripped up and doesn't enjoy it as much. He's a creative, he's talented, he wants to focus on the thing that he loves doing, which is photography, but he doesn't want to deal with the tracking clients, the creating of shared documents, folders, all that kind of stuff. So what I've seen in this is that when someone actually onboards and pays him, there's a workflow that can run that basically will set up everything he needs. So if we think about this, his problem is, one, he doesn't want to go through and do the manual creation of his locations of where his deliverables are going to be set. And 2, the problem is that he feels like he's spending too much time on it. So it's kind of the same thing, but you know what I'm saying. So our biggest problem there, right? Now, thinking about that in terms of an automated solution, it's relatively simple. Onboarding form can be hosted on Typeform, doesn't need to be anything crazy. Just don't do it on Google Forms, they look terrible. It's like having a Gmail address for your business, just don't do it, just buy the domain. So Typeform, where the person who has bought the service fills out all of their details, which this should be like your universal source of truth anyway. So have their contact details, have what their date is for their shoot, what they're looking for in terms of like scene selection or whatever, and then have that be sent to them via an automated email. So automated email with the Typeform sent out. Fantastic. They fill it out. And from there, you can either use Make or Zapier or whichever automation platform you're using. you can then have your deliverable file, so your folder structure set up from the jump, essentially. So ideally, you would have this client added to some kind of CRM. A decent one for this kind of thing is actually ClickUp. So managing businesses that have a decent fulfillment element of things, ClickUp is quite good because it's quite customizable, whereas something like Go High Level is probably not the best to track fulfillment. It still can be done. I'm just saying it's just not the best. And ClickUp is considerably cheaper. So for a freelancer, I'm just thinking cheaper costs are better. So you have ClickUp, a CRM that, tracks different stages. So you might have, just signed up, onboarding, and once they fill out that type form, it moves them across to, waiting for brief or something along those lines. And then that workflow that runs when they've onboarded, it will start to then create the file tree inside Google Drive. So obviously you're going to have the first module will be find the Google Drive folder where you want to store the information. Usually it's like clients. The second one, you would use it, you use a module to then create the folder. So in this situation, it could be Matt Lambourne wedding. And then the step below that would be like raw files and like finished edits, right? And then what can happen is when those two files are made, you can take the links from both of those and you can update that like ClickUp task with the links, right? So no longer does he have to go into Google Drive, create the folder, copy the link, take it back to ClickUp and do it all manually, which may take only like 5 minutes. But I mean, if you're doing this like 5 times a day, it's 25 minutes if you're doing really well as a freelancer, which apparently wedding photographers are very busy. It's 25 minutes a day. What's that, like 50 minutes every 2 days, 100 minutes every 4 days, and 125 minutes every 5 days, which is considerable, almost 2 hours worth of work. Now, that's an interesting case, but it could be true. Where instead, you would just have, as soon as someone does their onboarding, you already have the 2 links inside ClickUp for you to put your raw files and your edited files. So that's the problem that we're looking at solving, and that's kind of the solution, how we're doing it. The second step would be TAM. TAM stands for Total Addressable Market. Now, I mentioned wedding photographers, and if we look at just photography as a whole, you've got landscape photographers, you've got real estate photographers, you've got hobbyist photographers, you've got drone photographers, you've got wedding photographers, you've got sports photographers, you've got events photographers, you've got all kinds of different photographers. I niche down into weddings for this example, and the reason I've done that is because people are always getting married. And there are a lot of wedding photographers. Now, total addressable market means, to my understanding, the amount of people you can actually target with your product. And for me, in this example, wedding photographers, there's a lot of them, like especially in Australia, in the United States, in the UK, there are a lot of wedding photographers. So if I was to try and find those people, I would be able to. Now, there's a couple of ways you can get into the next part, which is get in front of their eyes. But the TAM is something that I like to consider when doing market research for a product, because if I don't have an easy to find total addressable market, or like if it's not quite big, I'm going to have a hard time even getting my product in front of them, because it's going to be hard for me to find their information. And if I don't want to do something like run ads, it's going to be hard for me to target them. Simple, right? So with my TAM, I want to make sure that, it's a big market. And in this situation, I think it is. Which kind of leads me to the next step, which is get in front of eyes, right? So if I was thinking about wedding photographers, without running ads, because I think ads are good, but there's other options to get clients. And a lot of the time, if you're, selling your first automated product, you're not going to have thousands of dollars to test on ads. If I wanted to get in front of the eyes of wedding photographers, how would I do that? Now, there's obvious ways that I can, Google search wedding photographer. And then I can go to every city and just like write their names down and add them to a Google sheet. I can do that. I can go on Instagram, search wedding photographer, send them a message. I could, go on something like Zoom Info and try and find wedding photographers. That might be a little bit hard. If you don't know what Zoom Info is or D7 Lead Finder, basically there's a place online for you to get leads. Usually it's B2B. It's very rare for it to be B2C, but it is more helpful for bigger businesses. Like if you want to find like an oil company's contact details, you can probably find it in Zoom Info, right? But you might have issues finding Matt's local wedding photographer on there, but you can try. So in this situation, how I would do it is, just thinking off the top of my head, it's probably Instagram. Now, if you don't know of the tool colddms.com, you should look into it. It is a tool that allows you to send mass DMs, right? And what you can do is you can either upload a list of leads. If you don't know how to get a list of Instagram leads, you can either build your own Instagram scraper or you can get someone on Fiverr to do it for you. I would recommend doing it on Fiverr, unless you're planning on like generating heaps of leads. The reason I say do it on Fiverr is because you can pay someone like $15 and they will get you like a list of 1,000 or a list of 10,000, right? And then what you do, you take that information, you put it inside colddms.com, you set up your offer message and you send it out. So that's one way of getting in front of wedding photographers. The second is that I would potentially do in this situation is LinkedIn. I feel like more creatives are getting on LinkedIn these days, considering that a lot of creators are going onto LinkedIn these days. So people are realizing that LinkedIn is not just a platform for business updates and, I got a new job, whatever. It's actually where people go when they're bored at work, because you can kind of browse it whilst you're on the clock and people don't really look down on it. So you can start posting there. Wedding photographers post on there. So you could run like a Woloxy campaign. If you don't know Woloxy, it's a automated outreach tool. And you can run a cold outreach message that basically says, hey, blah, 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 helping wedding photographers automate their business. Now, the next part, the outreach part, the specific message, is something that I have done a lot of work with, but also don't have a proven system on this yet. I'm just being totally honest. And this is something I'm working on, and when I have more information on it, I will definitely share of what's working for me. However, what I've kind of seen is personalized messages go a long way. So if you can somehow figure out how to customize a part of that message, whether it be through like custom variables or whatever, to tailor it to that person, you will have a significant increase in like response rate. And that like response rate, kind of what metrics should you be tracking kind of thing, it's all just a game of numbers. So the more responses you get, the more chances that is a yes, right? Because they can either say yes or no. So if you get, if you send out 1,000 messages and you get 100 responses and 4 of them are positive, that's pretty good, to be fair. Like 4 responses of which that are positive, that 2 convert from an automated sequence. Like you sign them up and you can charge them $3,000 or $2,000 for a solution like this, and you've just made 4 or 5 grand. A couple of those a week and you're pretty much making a decent living. So that's how I would sell an automated product, and that's how I would kind of put a product together. One thing that I find, I still get caught up on this, and other people get caught up on this in the automation space, is, we love automating so much that we kind of forget that we still have to have a business at the same time. So if that's you, then I feel your pain, but I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys again soon.